So the Brooklyn Nets have decided that they want to part ways, fire/let go of Steve Nash. The only reason realistically they say part ways is because they don't want to be the team that fires a two-time MVP in Nash. So that's why they're doing it realistically. This was a long time coming because there were rumors of him being let go. Last season, in the summer, Kevin Durant made an ultimatum to the Nets organization saying, hey, you fire Sean Marks and the Nets GM, and you fire Steve Nash, and I'll stay. Joe Tsai, Nets owner, decided he was going to stick with Marks and Nash, and Durant came back anyways, but 7 games in, you now let go of Nash. That's not going to change much for your team, who has struggled immensely to start the season. They obviously won last night in Indiana, but the point of the matter here is that the Nets have more struggles than just head coaching. Kyrie Irving is a mess and drama in his own way. Ben Simmons seems like he is still dealing with injuries that have happened over the course of the last year when he's missed an entire season playing basketball. And Kevin Durant is there, stuck, trying to play and trying to be competitive. And, he is doing a good job of that so far. But this Nets team is one of the biggest failures in NBA history. There's no question in my mind that this is a team that was, in 2019, was one of the most anticipated rosters in basketball. Kyrie, KD, and you have a bunch of kind of like these role players around them that can pitch in and contribute. They gutted all of those role players, the Karis LeVerts of the world, the Jared Allens of the world, and they went ahead and got James Harden. That went poorly. 3 stars did not work together. They barely were healthy. They didn't play many games together. And the Kyrie-Harden dynamic didn't work at all. That exploded in their face as well. Harden gets traded for Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons is dealing with his own issues right now, whether it be injuries, whether it be mental health. And now they are in a pool of a mess. This is just dysfunction at its finest. Look, I don't think letting Steve Nash go, or parting ways, if you will, is going to be that substantial. The Nets are too far gone. This is just the start, I guess the first domino to fall of this whole thing collapsing right underneath them. Once Nash goes, right, this Nets team is now going to be under Jacques Vaughn, who was actually interim head coach in 2020 during the NBA bubble. And yes, he has some experience coaching Kyrie and KD, but at the same time, this isn't the guy that they're looking for. This isn't the guy that they're selecting. And Adrian Wojnarowski reported it as well that they're looking at Quinn Snyder, Utah Jazz head coach for the last couple of years, and now Ime Udoka, which was the Celtics head coach who was caught up in a mess of a story to start this season and was suspended for a year by the Celtics for inappropriate conduct with a woman in the workplace. So the fact that the Nets are even looking at that as an option is to show you that the Nets have absolutely no idea what's happening here. So they're going about this the wrong way. This Nash firing is essentially the start of the beginning of the end when it comes to this quote-unquote should-be dynasty in Brooklyn. It's a failure. And that's it. That's what it's going to go down as. One of the biggest failures in NBA history. And just to add to this, Nash wasn't a good coach, okay? He's one of my favorite players of all time, 2-time MVP, genuinely the best Canadian basketball player ever. But he wasn't a good coach. He made bad, lackadaisical adjustments. The offense wasn't free-flowing. It was a lot of iso ball, and it relied on KD and Kyrie to generate things on their own. And even when they did run sets, it just felt like they were rushed and they were forced. And a lot of those things do come down to coaching. It comes down to head coaching. And on top of that, being able to manage these kind of personalities, if you will, in your locker room, and KD, Kyrie, and Ben Simmons, and James Harden, and Jared Allen, and all these guys who have come and went since Nash has been head coach, that's something that I don't think he was successful in. In particular, I think he wasn't a firm head coach. He really was. He let the players do what they do. He was a player-first head coach, but he wasn't one that was kind of instilling a sort of confidence isn't the right word, but I would say it's a level of firmness. You know, Phil Jackson, who is a guy who is world-renowned, one of the greatest coaches ever, who's renowned for dealing with players and their personalities. Shaq and Kobe, MJ, Scotty, all those guys, right? He knew how to deal with player personalities. Doc Rivers is a guy who in the past has been known to be that guy as well, although I don't think he he kind of deserves that rep anymore. Nash doesn't have that. And it's wild to say because he is a former player. He is a guy who was a 2-time MVP. He's been a superstar in this league. So he technically should be the perfect guy to be that player's coach, but he wasn't that. And he failed in that regard. And he wasn't a good coach. So I understand why they're letting him go, but it's too far gone. And to do it 7 games into the season just means that you are desperate to figure something out. And that something is going to fall and collapse. And that's the Brooklyn Nets.